Hey everybody. I was just going to talk about this face, or whatever you want to call it, that I saw in the clouds. To me, it looked like a Sasquatch face, backlit by the full moon. And this happened probably 2017, after I had started to go Sasquatching. I had left a cookie, a very big, large cookie that somebody gave me at, I think it was an Einstein's Bagels. They had made a mistake on my order and they offered me this cookie as a consolation as they corrected my order, and I decided not to eat it. I kind of decided right at that moment I would re-gift it to the Sasquatch. So I ended up bringing it to them out kind of behind Red Rocks Park, where I hiked up really far, and I came out into this clearing. I followed a ridge all the way up so that I wouldn't be exposed walking through any open areas, and kind of just stayed concealed in any chance that I could come upon something cool. And I I was walking one kind of forest line, and then I came across on this really large rocky bluff, and I got to the very end at the top of the mountain, and I had to go out into this last meadow in order to cross where there was a creek flowing, and there was the last piece of forest. It was up behind Red Rocks Amphitheater, but I had taken the back way, which was very steep and had no trails. And when I walked out into that meadow, I noticed first this rocky, it looked like a foundation of sorts, some old kind of construction from a long time ago. And then I heard this tree start to creak. And in retrospect, it was not windy at all, but in retrospect, I think a creature had maybe climbed a tree in the time that I'd walked out and started looking at things. And then after, the first 10, 15 seconds, it had got to the top of that tree and it started swinging and creaking. But I went up beneath that tree. I found a bed of pine boughs, very deliberate. I have it on video, and an X next to a pine tree that was leaned up, made out of kind of cleaned up, bark-free sticks. And I had left that up there, and then this appeared to me maybe the next day or that night. I don't recall which one it was, but I looked up and I thought, you know what? That is exactly like a face. And even these two eyes maybe looks like it could be like an adult and a baby. Now, I understand that there's the aspect of pareidolia, and it could be just the fact that I think I'm seeing this, but it was just so timely. It was just so timely, and I didn't include the other two photos I took of it, but I mean, it nearly instantaneously broke up after I saw it. So all of a sudden, this is looking down over this building next to me at my front door, and it looks like a Sasquatch head to me, and then it breaks up nearly instantly. But it was really cool, and it was really meaningful. And I even asked the kids I was with, I said, does that look like a face up there? And they were like, whoa. So just kind of throwing it out there. I had made a video yesterday about a face that I saw in the clouds. It kind of had a conical looking head, and it was looking down at the mountains, and even looking kind of up towards the Boulder area, up towards a little north of there is where Callie lives, northern Colorado. And it was kind of just, I'm in Denver, so it was kind of just up in that northern part, looking in the mountains. And it was like a reminder for me to get into the forest. But who knows, that could have just been a coincidence there, but this one certainly seemed specific to me. And then comes into the question, can they do something like that? Could they present themselves in such a way as a face in the clouds? Do they have that kind of power and dominion over nature? But I mean, if they're able to become invisible upon will, or remain here in the physical and then leave this physical domain and possibly go somewhere else, who knows what the limitations are or the possibilities really are. It's really fascinating to think about. If people are in such denial. They say, oh, I think it's a physical creature. I think it's a physical creature. Well, I think it can be physical too, but at times they seem to be more than that. Wes Germer has said he's had people tell him stories about Sasquatch jumping out of a tree and disappearing the second it hit the ground, right in front of people. So people have seen some strange things with these creatures. Now, can they all do these special things, and do they all have these special abilities? I don't know. I think you would have to be an evolved creature, and if you're not evolved spiritually, if you're one of these creatures abducting people on the Appalachian Trail or something, I mean, I don't know, you're inbred Bigfoot from down south, or wherever your clan could be. Maybe there are Bigfoot that lose some of their abilities, that remain stuck in the physical, that are constantly stealing chickens and becoming a nuisance to the human beings around them, because they've just lost their ability to do that, or it was never bred into them. We don't really know what kinds of different ones there are. People always say, oh, it was a type 1, type 2, type 3. I don't prescribe to any of that stuff. I've seen a little one from the backside. I haven't seen one long enough to know, and I haven't seen enough of them to know what type is what and where they came from, and if they were just passing through, or who knows what. There's a lot of different regions in this country, and it's beautiful how this country all merges and melts together, from the north to the south, to the east to the west, the middle of the country. If you've driven across this land, it's a beautiful landscape. There's Bigfoot in every state, and who's to say where one ends and one doesn't, go. Maybe one just goes on a rogue mission and starts heading south because it likes warmer weather. You just never know what's going to happen with these creatures, but it seemed like this was a message that was sent to me. So kind of cool. These ones in Colorado do seem to kind of be elusive, and I went to New Hampshire and Maine, and I went and I found them in the woods right away, and that could have been a coincidence because I knew to look in these very remote spots that my family happens to live at, so it was just the perfect place to go looking. But I don't know, I've done a lot of looking here too, and I mean, I've gotten the communication, but was this some kind of communication to me? It felt like it was to me, and I kind of made a little video about it, just said who's watching over you, but this is kind of the backstory, I guess, to it, and people can kind of take it for what it is. But I had an interview that I did on the Xeno Hunters channel, and I alluded to a lot of these stories, and I told this one about the Sasquatch in the clouds, and somebody had asked me where are all the pictures, and I thought, I'll just make a little update video on this and give people a piece of my mind. So thanks for listening to me for 8 minutes, and you guys take care. Bye-bye.